Abiding fam, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelsey Lee for those of you who are new, and in 2021 I have been daily journaling in what I call my Abiding Journal. If you want to learn more about my Abiding Journal 2021 and how you can join us and participate in a whole community that is trying to explore our creativity and document our lives, I recommend you check out this video up here. It will explain everything to you, and it is never too late to join in the fun. But in this video, we are going to be doing a chatty flip through of my Abiding Journal, particularly the month of February. So this is my second flip through showing you my daily journal. So if you missed the first flip through of January, I highly recommend you check out this playlist. This is where I'm going to be housing all of my chatty flip throughs for this year. So definitely make sure you check that out. And without further ado, let's just dive right into what I've created here. If you are curious about my cover, I also have a video all about the cover. It is from Documented Journey, and I have the link in the description box if you are wanting to get your own after seeing how beautiful it is. I have been loving opening this journal cover every day to get to my journal and document my memories. So I highly recommend it. So here is where we left off in January. This was my last entry for January 31st. And when we turn the page, we jump right into February. Now, something interesting about this page, if you follow me on Instagram, which if you're not, you definitely should, because I post more behind the scenes life updates there. It's at abiding_Kelsey Lee. But over there on my Instagram stories, I had posted about an unfortunate accident in which I spilled an entire, a full glass of water all over my journal as I was about to start this page. So it was blank at the time, but I saturated this page in water. Thankfully, I had my heat tool close by and some paper towels, and I soaked up the water and dried the page using my heat tool. And luckily, I happened to use some archival ink on the back so that it did not react to the water. So I actually didn't have any struggles really with this page getting messed up on the back from pouring water all over my journal, except for a little bit of bleeding here in the snowflakes, but it's really not too noticeable. And for this page, it just really made it a little bit more wrinkly, but with the finished page, you really can't tell. So I wasn't too upset about it in the end, and I was really happy that it didn't soak through or get onto any of my other pages. So if you're curious, I use the Moleskine Cahiers extra large journals for my journal inserts, and they stood the test of pouring an entire glass of water on it. I think that's pretty indicative of the quality of these journals. So if you're interested, I have them linked in my description box, along with many of the other products. If I happen to mention them, I do try and link them in the description, or they will be linked in my Amazon shop, which is also down below. But yeah, so that's how this page started, with a whole glass of water poured over it to give it that nice wrinkled look. And then I really went with a more scrapbook vibe for this page. So I had fun framing the photos with a fun patterned paper, and then just using a bunch of stickers and ephemera pieces and washi tape to do some framing around my journaling. And then this piece in the middle is fun. This little date is something that I just cut out from a calendar. So I just had a calendar that I didn't need that piece for anymore, so I just cut it out and put it here in my journal. This next entry really centers around the fact that my dancing queen Amaryllis finally bloomed, and I was so happy to see these gorgeous blooms. Let me try and show you the photo close up. So these gorgeous blooms on my dancing queen Amaryllis finally blossomed. I swear I thought the stem was going to hit the ceiling by the time it was done growing. It got so tall. And I was able to use these stickers, which I don't think is exactly a dancing queen Amaryllis. It's probably some type of lily. from this Lily and Moss sticker book that I have from Kaisercraft. I got these at Tuesday morning, but it had these giant flower stickers, so like you see here, that I was able to put all over the page, and I thought that they really looked a lot like the Dancing Queen Amaryllis and represented that really well. I also used this little, I would call it a tea bag, but it wasn't a tea bag because it was a mulling spice bag. We made some mulled wine that night using the little spice bag, so I put that on here and then put a little journaling card tag in the pocket that I created from that tea bag, and then just did a little bit of journaling on the back. And then this piece here is actually a card that I got from a friend, some snail mail, that I put those stickers on to just decorate it a little bit more. And then when you open it, this is really fun, I actually pressed some of the blooms of my amaryllis. So when it bloomed, I took a few of the petals off and pressed them throughout the month of February. And then at the end of the month, I took out the blooms that I had pressed, and I put one in one of these little photo sleeve bags, which is really great for keeping pressed flowers. I've done this before in my journaling, and I just stuck it to the page so that I have a little piece of those flowers here in my journal, which I think is so fun and is a really interesting thing to add to your journal. This next entry documents taking Jeannie, our dog, to my parents' house because we were planning on going on a little trip over the weekend, so my parents very kindly watch her when we are gone. And on this day, I also needed to run a few errands while I was in town where my parents live, so I went to Target and a few other shops, and I actually used the tags from a few of the items that I got to do the dates. So I just wrote the dates on the tags, and I thought that actually turned out really well. It adds a cool pop of color to the page, and I didn't pay any money for the tags itself, just for the item of clothing. So that's another fun recycled item that you can use in your journaling, and it also brings back, of course, the memories of having gone shopping that day. But this down here is definitely my favorite part of the page. I created this wonderful little collage documenting this surprise get-together that I got to have with a good friend of mine from high school. He lives in Asheville now, but happened to be visiting the area. He was visiting his own parents, so he had texted me while I was out running errands and said that he was in the area, and if I happened to be in the area, we should grab a coffee or something. And I was like, oh my goodness, how crazy cool is it that I actually am in the area right now, which isn't that common for me to be there, especially during the week. And we got to get together and grab a cup of coffee and catch up a little bit, and it was the first time I had seen him since my wedding. So it was just a ton of fun to get to see an old friend, not something we get to do very often recently in the last year. So I was really grateful for that opportunity and had a lot of fun playing with stickers. And I put this little camera here because he's an awesome photographer in the Asheville area. Look up Nick Levine Photography if you need a photographer and are getting married or engaged or anything like that in the Asheville area. He is wonderful. So as I said, we were dropping off our dog because we were going on a little road trip. So this page basically just documents us being on the road for most of the day, heading to New Hampshire. I really love this journaling card that has these little cars on it. Was a fun addition. And then there's this really neat ephemera piece that I have that is one of those like changing, let's see if I can capture it. See how it's just the car, but then it moves and it's like balloons coming out of the back of the car, and it says Up and Atom. So such a fun, cool piece. It reminds me of the types of things and stickers that I would play with as a kid. And I don't know where I got these. I'm afraid I can't tell you where I got this. But I thought it was a fun addition to this page. And then these are fun ephemera pieces documenting the fast food that we got. I put that on here because we very, 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 very rarely eat fast food. I am not a fan of fast food. To me, I don't know why anybody would pay as much as they do at McDonald's when they could get something similarly priced at another place for much higher quality. But that's my personal opinion. So I did document the fact that we had fast food for the first time in quite some time. And I thought this was a fun addition. I drew a little map of our journey from Pennsylvania to New Hampshire and used Google Maps to kind of guesstimate how the track was going all the way to New Hampshire. Used some washi tape to do Thursday. And by the way, the lettering for these, the reason it looks so perfectly done and spaced apart is because I used my alphabet magnetic stencils from We Are Memory Keepers, and these are probably one of my favorite tools. It's a really cool product where the magnetic stencil kind of holds it in place so that your stencil isn't moving all around as you're trying to trace. Highly recommend these, and I do have these linked in my Amazon shop. So the whole reason we went to New Hampshire was to climb Mount Washington. It was something that we have been wanting to do for a while. Ben did it once before. Ben is my husband, for those of you who don't know. He had summited Mount Washington once before. I had never attempted or climbed Mount Washington, but I was really looking forward to being able to just cross that off of the list of things that I've done. And unfortunately, the weather that day was like -30 at the top with the wind chill, and the winds were up to 75-mile-per-hour gusts. And we were fine up until we got to just beyond the tree line, and then there's this ravine, it's called Tuckerman's Ravine, and the wind just sweeps through there so fast, and we literally could not walk. We could not take any steps in that ravine without the wind just knocking us completely over. It was definitely the most extreme weather I've ever been in, but it was a super fun adventure, and to be safe and conscientious and cautious, we chose to turn around at that point because we did not think that we could make it to the top and get back down before dark in that situation, and it just was a little bit too precarious for us to keep going, unfortunately. So we did not get to summit Mount Washington, but we did have an awesome trip. And so I just did a little collage of photos here. I have a whole video here on my channel in my How to Creative Journal for Beginners playlist. In that playlist, I have a video about creating tiny photos and photo collages for your journaling. So I definitely recommend you check that out. I will link it up below. And then I just taped another photo collage to the back of it to create this tip-in. And to create a tip-in, I just use washi tape on both sides to attach it to the page. And then underneath is all of my journaling. And then this is a postcard that I got and cut down at the little gift shop in Mount Washington, and the sticker I got there as well. And then this is just a fun glittery snowy washi tape that I happen to have. We are definitely a couple who enjoys our adventures, so on the 6th we then went ice climbing, and so this again is just a collage, and this time I decided to add some words to the collage within the Pic Collage app that I use. And I thought that was a really nice addition. And then other than that, this page is very, very simple. Just a few strips of washi tape, and then this really great White Mountains sticker that I got from the shop as well. February 7th is when we drove back home, but before we did, we decided to get in one more round of ice climbing. So in the morning, we went ice climbing at another location. So this again is just a collage of photos documenting our climbing. And if you're looking for something that is super quick to do, but very, very easy and adds a lot to the page, try being creative in your use of washi by creating kind of a pattern, and just doing strips of it in a row adds something to a page that I can't quite explain in words, but you can see it for yourself. I just think it's a really fun way to decorate your page that is really quick and really easy. And you can see I did it here horizontally under the photo, and then I did it at the top here as well, just as a really cute little embellishment to capture the day of the week. I just put the 7 over top of the same sort of washi strip pattern. And I thought this was fun too for this particular page because it kind of looks like icicles. So after a weekend of all of that adventuring, we were very sad to be back at work on Monday. So I have this little crying girl sticker that I love from Documented Journey. She is not only the creator of this fantastic journal cover that I have, but she also creates really great art and stickers and sells those in her shop as well. So if you're interested in these, I will link her shop down below as well. And I thought that that represented our feelings well for this day. And I have this little quote on here that says, "She's strong, but she's exhausted because after a whole weekend of just going and doing tons of really strenuous activity, I was so tired come Monday." And I found this fun word on Pinterest. The word is alamort, and it's an adjective meaning half dead of exhaustion. So I thought that was a fun addition to add to the page as well. And then this is just a journaling card, and this here is an illustration by Allie Brown that she had on her Patreon when she used to have a Patreon. This page is just documenting a really ordinary day. I used some washi tape, and then these stickers are from packaging from Allie Brown as well. These were, I think, from the stamp set that I bought from her. And then I just did, again, really simple journaling and some hand lettering to write the day of the week. And over here, I drank kombucha on this day, so I just took off the wrapping from the kombucha bottle and stuck that here in my journal. And then I used that to decide the color palette for the page, so just a lot of black and white with little hints of red. And on this day, I finished an audiobook by Jefferson Bethke called Jesus is Greater Than Religion. I loved this book. I thought it was really powerful, and I would really recommend it to anyone, not just to Christians, but if you're somebody who is at all interested in faith, and if you're somebody who's grown up kind of viewing the church as this pedestal monolith that kind of wags their fingers at anybody who doesn't believe, I think this is a really, really great book to help set the record straight about who Jesus is and the gospel, and how that is actually very different at times than the religion that we sometimes see in media and otherwise. I know personally growing up, I was very put off by the idea of religion because of how it was represented to me. And it wasn't until Jesus was introduced to me that I became more open to faith. And now, of course, I'm a Christian, so I would highly recommend this book to anybody. Here are two really simple entries to just, again, showcase that daily journaling does not always have to take a lot of time or be over the top creative. On these days, I literally used a journaling card, some washi tape, this really fun journaling card, and then over here, this one is a really good example of how you can create a really aesthetic, pretty page using not a lot of time and not a lot of supplies. So in this case, I literally used a Tombow Dual Brush pen to do the lettering, as well as just a black pen over top of it, and a washi roll to create this border frame around it. And that was all I needed to do for this entry. On the flip side, quite literally, you can also go way over the top with your creative journaling depending on your time and your mood and how much you want to get into the creative process. Totally up to you. You can be completely basic, or you can go over the top and get really creative. On this day, I decided to use this really beautiful tissue paper background and decided to do it on both the 13th and the 14th for the Valentine's Day weekend. I had this great little lace piece and this little journaling card and ephemera pieces, so I created this fun little collage over here. And then this page is a little too busy for my liking. I really like the look of this one. This one's a bit too much, but again, just documenting a bunch of photos and using the journaling card. And overall, I'm really happy with the way that this turned out, and I will have a process video for this coming very soon, so keep an eye out for that. So on February 15th, I really centered the page around the fact that I had finished the book called Devotions. It's a book of selected poems by Mary Oliver. I think her work is best described as nature poetry, and so I, as a lover of nature, really enjoyed the entire process of reading her poetry. And sometimes she delves into kind of the human experience and faith and meaning, and there's just a lot that goes into her poetry. I really enjoyed it, and I decided to do a little hand lettering of part of her one poem called The Chat. It's from her Thirst collection from 2006, and it reads, "O Lord, what a lesson you send me as I stand, listening to your rattling, swamp-loving chat, singing of his simple, leafy life. How I would like to sing to you all night, in the dark, just like that." So I just thought that was so beautiful, and a beautiful picture of how nature is constantly singing the Lord's praises. So I loved that, and I tried to represent it with some stickers of birds and nature and feathers and this little nest here on this page. And of course, when you daily journal, you don't only document the fun adventures and the great times with friends and family and the simple moments like finishing a good book, but you also document the difficult moments that come in life, like losing a loved one. And on this particular day, the 16th of February, late at night, my mom passed away after I was struggling a lot for a long time with her health and her lungs, especially. And so I created this page in her memory, and my mom has always been a huge fan of this quote by A.A. Milne. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm probably not, but the writer of Winnie the Pooh. And basically the quote says, "How does one become a butterfly?" Pooh asked pensively. "You must want to fly so much that you are willing to give up being a caterpillar," Piglet replied. "You mean to die?" asked Pooh. "Yes and no," he answered. "What looks like you will die, but what's really you will live on." And I just think that's such a beautiful picture of our belief that there is more that comes after this life. If you put your hope and love in Jesus, as my mom did, then I know that she's actually in a better place right now, and that she is with our Lord and Savior. And so I'm able to have hope in that. And I tried to document that here using these wonderful butterfly stickers. These are from my hashtag sticker book, From One Canoe to. So I highly recommend this one. If you love butterflies, there's a lot of butterfly stickers in there, and I used many of them on this page. And then I have this great lace doily piece behind it that I thought represented her really well too. So this was a very cathartic page for me to create, in just holding on to that hope instead of focusing on the mourning. The following day was Ash Wednesday, and I did a reading from scripture at my church from Joel 2. And so this was a really poignant moment, especially following the death of my mom, because Ash Wednesday, of course, is a reminder that we are dust, and to dust we will return. You know, our bodies are not meant to live forever, because it's our souls that are meant to live on in a far greater place than what we have here on earth. So I just kind of journaled about that. And then this entry over here is definitely one of my favorites. I love its simplicity. It was a very quick and easy page to put together. I really just used some washi tape to do the backgrounds, and then had my journaling printables. So these are all printables from my Patreon page. These are old and new printables, and when you join Patreon, should you be interested in supporting my channel and getting some awesome content for your journal in return, you will get access to not only the newest printables, like this Tiny Little Pleasures set, that's what this bubble bath is from, but also my older printables. So these ones, the Winter Wonderland and the little mug and the tree line here, are all from my older printables from last winter, and you get access to all of it when you join Patreon. So I'm so grateful to all of my patrons. If you are watching this video, then know that they are the reason for it. They are the reason that I'm able to create free content here on YouTube and spend as much time encouraging you in your journaling and your faith as I do. It's because of their support. So make sure you thank a patron, and if you want to become a patron, you can do that at the link in the description box. So these are definitely two of my favorite entries from this month. I just love the layouts that I've created here. I love the layering effect on this page with the journaling cards and this little paper piece that says "There's no place like home," and then this little couch scene that I cut out from a Flow magazine calendar that I have. And then these are just fun stickers, and this Explore Your Creativity, Document Your Life is from one of the printables as well. So just love the whole look of this page, documenting just being at home, which is actually the whole theme of my latest printables. So I have many more illustrations to play with now. And then over here just documents a wonderful Saturday in which I spent some time reading on the couch. So I had this great printable from the Tiny Little Pleasures set, as well as hanging out with a genie a ton, and this little dog is from the Tiny Little Pleasures collection as well. So just put those here on the page, and then had a photo down here because later in the evening we got to meet up with two other couple friends of ours and have dinner together. So that was just a really wonderful day, and I just love having these memories documented in my journal. So on this Sunday we went to church, and then afterwards went on a lovely snowy walk together with Jeannie, and so I just documented that with some photos. Afterwards we had some hot chocolate, so I have another printable from one of my collections here, and then these great stickers, Walking in a Winter Wonderland, and a little printout that I got from Pinterest, or actually I think Canva. I had printed this out from Canva, and it's just of a little great horned owl because on this day we actually heard owls in the evening, and we went outside. Of course, we donned our coats and grabbed our binoculars and went out looking for them, and we actually did spot the great horned owl sitting in a tree nearby, and we're watching it for a while in the night and just hearing it hooing. It was such a cool experience. So I just love having this little printout here to document that moment. So on the 22nd, we had the funeral for my mom, and we like to say that she ordered the snow because she didn't want us making a fuss over her. So it actually was super snowy on this day, and while we were able to still have the funeral, we were not able to do the burial on this day. But I was able to grab some of these great photos that my mom had. She created these beautiful boards documenting my mom's life. And so I took some photos of some of my favorite images of my mom throughout her life and put them on here, and then just did some journaling. And I made the photo a pocket by just putting tape on the sides and on the bottom so that I could slip this little card into that pocket. And this is basically just her birth date and death date, and then it has the Footprints in the Sand poem. If you're not familiar with that, I definitely recommend you look it up, but I think most people are pretty familiar with Footprints in the Sand. So I just have that slipped in there, and then a little scripture down here. So really glad to have this page. I think this will be just really wonderful to have these photos in here to be able to look back on, and maybe one day my children will be looking through my journal and say, who's that? And I can say, oh, that's your great grandmother, and talk about her and her life. These pages are my least favorite pages of February, but that didn't stop me from moving on. So just let that be a lesson to you that you're going to create pages you don't like. That is part of the creative process. You are never constantly creating all things that you love and are amazed with yourself by. So these pages are not my favorite. They really are just documenting average, regular days. I was in a rush with these entries, so I was really just kind of slapping things down, and it's a bit of a hodgepodge, but it's okay because the memories are down and we can always turn the page and start again. This is really just documenting an ordinary day. I was kind of reflecting on Ben and how wonderful he is, and how he was being super helpful to me this week. He actually helped me to put labels on my Happy Mail packages this week to help get them out to my patrons on that tier, and he was just being really encouraging and helpful as I was feeling a little overwhelmed by everything I had to get done by the end of the month. So I just kind of documented that here with this great little vellum piece that says love on it with the two swans. And then over here, I documented a movie that we watched called The Professor and the Madman on Netflix, and I cannot recommend this movie enough, especially if you are somebody who loves to read or if you're a Christian. It kind of had some like faith undertones, but it definitely was not the whole message of the story. But oh my goodness, so fascinating. It's a true story about how the dictionary basically came into existence, and I had no idea. It was just so good. I am so sad that this movie is like not talked about at all. It's very underrated, but I just thought it was wonderful, and there were so many wonderful quotes in this movie. I did a lot of hand lettering of a few of my favorite quotes from the movie. So for example, one of them was, "I can fly out of this place on the backs of books. I've gone to the ends of the world on the wings of words." Like, come on, if you are a reader, this movie is basically made for you. And so to capture the whole dictionary theme, I used a page from a dictionary to make this little tip in, just use some washi tape and then put the movie cover on it. And then I had this great piece from some old like vintage collection of ephemera that I had that is the word curiosity and has the definition of it on here. So I thought that was really helpful. And then I love this little illustration I created from the latest printables I put out for February. This was the home body theme. So it looks like this. I will put a full kind of image of this one for you guys to see it a little bit better. But as you can see, I just cut out the little Netflix TV here and used that on this page. But I'm excited to play with all of these others as well in upcoming days. And on the back, this little illustration of the girl sitting in the chair is also from the Homebody printables, but this is actually from the mini printable. So that is available on the $2 tier. So you can get access to this one and lots of other illustrations for just $2 a month. And then here we are, friends, at the last two entries for February, and these are actually, I think, my favorites. I love, especially this one, I love the layout of it. It just came together so nicely, and I honestly couldn't tell you how or why, but it just works, and I was really, really happy with it. I love the colors in it. Just using some photos documenting the meal that I made that day. I made chicken pad thai for the first time, and then I went on a very snowy walk again with Ben and Jeannie, and then had a really cool little leaf piece that I put in here, some fun stickers, little journaling card. I love this little string that I put on here too that has this gold accent in it. I thought that was fun to just tie to the tag. So I don't know if you can pick up the gold in it, but just a really pretty little string. So I was just so happy with the way that that entry turned out. And then over here, super, super, super simple entry, just documenting a rainy, rainy Sunday. And I played a lot with my printables again on this page. So this listening to the rain printable was perfect for this day. And then this illustration is actually from Flow magazine. And something I really liked about this entry was doing more spacing between the lines in my journaling. I just really like the cleaner look of spacing out the journaling. So that's something I want to try and remember to do more in future entries. But friends, that is all of February. I hope that you enjoyed this flip through and that it gave you inspiration for your own journaling, and I would love to know how your own journaling is going, especially if you are participating in hashtag MyAbidingJournal2021. So make sure that if you're on Instagram and on YouTube, make sure you are using that hashtag to share what you are creating with all of us, because we would love, love, love to see it. If you're not on Instagram, you can also share your entries with us in our private Facebook group. I will have that linked down below for you as well. And if you share your photos with us using that hashtag or in the special approved album in our Facebook group, then you will have the chance to be featured at the end of my chatty flip throughs for that month. So without further ado, let's take a look at your abiding journals and everything you have been creating in the month of February.
And we just sing along, and I can't help but feeling, just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would?
As always, friends, you continue to inspire me just as much as I inspire you. I was wowed this month by your creativity, and your entries were so beautiful, and I can't wait to see what you create in March. Speaking of March, I've already done my first entry, so since you made it all the way to the end of this video, kudos. I'm going to give you a little peek at my first entry in March, and this is actually going to be a journal with me that will be coming very, very soon. And in it, I'm also going to talk about some new products that I just recently got from Amazon and tell you what they are and give you the links so that you can get them too, because I'm very, very excited about these products. So I look forward to sharing that journal with me here on my channel very, very soon. Keep an eye out for that. If you want early access to this video before anyone else gets to see it, as well as access to exclusive videos nobody else gets to see, and access to my printables, definitely check out my Patreon page. It's patreon.com/abidingkelseylee, and it is the best way to support my channel, other than, of course, subscribing and liking and commenting, which I'm so, so grateful for as well. So I hope that you will give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Join the Abiding fam by hitting that subscribe button and leave me a comment letting me know what was your favorite entry or what has journaling been teaching you so far this year. With all that said, friends, keep exploring your abiding creativity and document a life abiding in faith, hope, and love.